The grand space station floated in the endless black sky, shining like a silver jewel among the stars. Inside there was a giant market full of life. Full of sound, full of colors. Merchants shouted in alien tongues. Strange food smoked with sweet smells, and lights from hundreds of shops sparkled. Species from across the galaxy moved through the streets. Tall ones with crystal skin, short ones with glowing eyes, and creatures with wings that shimmered like glass. In the middle of all this wonder, an old alien walked slowly, holding a small worn-out bag close to its chest. The alien was weak, its hands shaking, its skin pale with age. But the way it held the bag showed that it was not just an object. It was something precious. Many eyes passed over the old figure, but no one cared. In a galaxy where the strong ruled, the weak were often ignored. Then it happened from the corner. A group of young alien thieves appeared, laughing loudly, their eyes cruel. They spotted the old alien and moved fast. One pushed the alien hard, making it fall to the ground. Another snatched the bag from its hands. Tearing the straps, the alien cried out, a voice filled with fear, pain and loss. The crowd froze, but no one stepped in. Everyone knew who these thieves were. They belonged to a dangerous gang known for violence. To fight them was to invite death. The thieves laughed as they held the bag high. The old alien crawled weakly, begging for it back. Please, give it back. It is all I have, the alien whispered, but the thieves only mocked. Why should we care about your trash, old one? They sneered. Their laughter echoed in the market. Still no one moved, no one helped. Shops closed their doors, strangers turned away. The air grew heavy with fear, but in that silence, one figure did not turn away. A human traveler, standing at the edge of the market, had seen everything. The human's eyes followed the bag, then the old alien lying broken on the ground. Something burned inside the human's chest. Other species might ignore such cruelty, but humans were different. The human clenched their fists, heart beating faster. They had a choice, walk away like the others or step into danger. And the human made the choice in an instant. The thieves ran into a dark alley. Still laughing, the human followed, steps firm and quick. The market crowd gasped. No one expected it. Is that human crazy? One alien whispered. They will die for nothing, said another. But the human did not care. The human's voice echoed into the alley, strong and clear. Give the bag back. The thieves turned, shocked. They saw only one human standing against their gang. One of them laughed cruelly. Why risk your life for an old fool? Another waved a sharp blade, its metal glowing. You don't know who we are, human, he hissed. But the human did not move back. The human's eyes stayed firm, unafraid. Because it is the right thing to do, the human said. The alley fell silent for a moment. Even the thieves were surprised. They had faced warriors, they had faced soldiers, but never someone who would fight not for glory, not for power, but for justice. The gang leader narrowed his eyes. Then you will die with honor. Human, he growled. The tension grew heavy, like a storm about to break. The human stood ready, alone against the gang, and the galaxy would soon learn that this moment was only the beginning. The thieves stood in the shadow of the alley, their glowing eyes watching the lone human. The old alien was far behind in the market, still on the ground, whispering weak prayers. No one else followed, no one dared. Only the human walked forward, each step firm and steady. The gang leader twisted his lips into a cruel smile, his claws tapping against the stolen bag. You have courage, human, he said, but courage does not keep bones from breaking. The other thieves laughed, their voices sharp like broken glass. One waved a blade made of red crystal, another carried a metal chain. The alley smelled of rust and smoke, a place where many had been beaten. The human's hand tightened into a fist, the sound of their heartbeat strong in their chest. They knew they were outnumbered. But they also knew something else. Humans had a will that no weapon could break. Give it back, the human repeated. Voice calm but firm, the thieves stepped closer. Surrounding the human, one of them spat on the ground. Why should we listen to a soft-skinned traveler? Another sneered. You're not from this station. No one will even care when your body disappears. Still, the human did not move back. The human's eyes stayed locked on the bag, not on the blades, not on the chains, and that made the thieves uneasy. The first attack came fast. A thief swung the chain with a sharp crack through the air. The human ducked. The chain hit the wall with a loud clang, sparks flying. Before the thief could swing again, the human stepped forward, grabbing the chain and pulling hard. The thief stumbled, surprised at the sudden strength. The human's elbow struck him in the chest. sending him crashing to the ground. Gasping for air, the others roared in anger. Rushing in together, a blade flashed toward the human's side. The human twisted away, the crystal blade cutting only empty air. With a sharp kick, the human struck the thief's wrist, forcing him to drop the weapon. The blade clattered to the ground, glowing faintly in the dirt. The human picked it up quickly, holding it in one hand, eyes sharp like fire. For a moment the thieves paused, shocked at how fast the fight had turned. "You still want this fight?" the human asked, voice steady. The gang leader growled, his pride burning like a flame. "No one makes fools of us," he hissed, his claws sliding out like knives. He charged forward with sudden speed, his body larger and stronger than the human's. The clash shook the alley. Claws against blade, strength against will. The human was pushed back, boots sliding on the dirt. But the human did not fall, their arms steady, their spirit unbroken. The gang leader pressed harder, snarling, "You cannot win." "Human." The human's eyes narrowed, their breath heavy. "Maybe not," the human said, "but I will never stop." With a sudden twist, the human shifted the blade, using the leader's own strength against him. The claws missed, the leader stumbled, and the human's fist struck his jaw. The sound echoed in the alley. A sharp crack. The leader fell to his knees. Clutching his face in rage and disbelief, silence followed, broken only by the sound of heavy breathing. The thieves stared at the human, shocked, their courage fading. They had fought many times, they had crushed many victims. But this human was different. This human fought not for money, not for power, but for something they could not understand. Justice. The human raised the stolen bag high, their eyes burning with determination. "This belongs to someone who needs it," they said, voice clear and strong. "If you want it back, you'll have to go through me again." The thieves looked at each other, fear in their faces, their leader still on the ground. His pride shattered. One by one, they stepped back. Their earlier laughter gone. They knew they had lost more than a fight. They had lost their control over fear. For the first time, someone had stood against them and won. With curses and threats, they vanished into the shadows, leaving the alley empty. The human stood there, chest rising and falling with every breath, the bag still in their hands, safe once more. Slowly, they walked back toward the market. Crowds had gathered at the alley's edge. Eyes wide with shock, no one spoke, but whispers spread quickly. "A human fought the gang," one alien whispered, "and won." Another added. Disbelief in their voice, the old alien looked up, tears shining in tired eyes. The human knelt and placed the bag gently into the alien's hands. "Here," the human said softly. "It's yours." The alien's hands trembled as they held it close. You risked everything," the alien whispered, voice breaking. The human only nodded. It was the right thing to do. In that moment, something changed. The crowd did not cheer. The council did not appear. But deep inside the hearts of those who watched, a seed was planted, a seed of respect. A seed of fear, a seed of wonder, and across the galaxy, this was only the first echo of a story that would shake entire worlds. The market slowly returned to life after the fight, but the whispers did not stop. Aliens looked at the human with wide eyes, some afraid, some curious, some even amazed. They had never seen anyone face the gang and live, much less win, but the human did not seek their attention. The human's eyes were fixed only on the old alien, still holding the small worn bag close to its chest. The alien's hands trembled as if the bag itself carried the weight of 1,000 suns. Tears slid down its wrinkled face. Shining under the station's lights, the human bent down, their voice gentle. "Are you hurt?" The alien shook its head slowly. "No, only my heart." It almost broke. The human frowned, confused. "Why?" "It's just a bag." The alien looked up, its eyes deep and tired, yet glowing with something more than sadness. "You do not understand, human," it whispered. "This is not just a bag, it is my people's soul." The human tilted their head, curious but respectful. The alien's fingers moved carefully, opening the bag with slow care. Inside lay a small crystal device, glowing faintly with blue and silver light. It pulsed like a heartbeat, soft, steady, eternal. The human stared, the light reflecting in their eyes. "What is it?" they asked. The alien hugged it close as if protecting a child. "It is a memory capsule," the alien said, voice shaking. "All the stories of my people live inside it, our history, our music, our dreams, our failures, our hopes, our truth. If it is lost, My people are lost. The human felt a chill run down their spine. They had thought the thieves stole for money or greed. But now they understood it was more than a theft. It was an attempt to erase a whole culture. The alien continued, voice filled with sorrow. My world was destroyed in the last war. Only a few of us remain, scattered like dust across the stars. This capsule is all that connects us to who we are. Without it, we are nothing. The human clenched their fists, anger rising. They thought about the thieves laughing as they pushed the old alien down. They thought about how everyone in the market had turned away, how easily cruelty could have erased an entire race's memory. But they also thought about the moment they decided to step forward. And they realized it had not been just instinct, it had been destiny. The alien's voice trembled again. Why? Why did you help me when no one else would? The human paused, their eyes heavy with thought. Finally, they said, because no one should lose their past. No one should lose who they are. The alien closed its eyes, tears falling silently. For the first time in many years, the alien felt hope. Hope carried not by its own kind, but by a stranger from a faraway world. As the human helped the old alien to stand, more voices began to whisper in the crowd. They risked their life for a stranger, one alien murmured. Not for treasure, not for power, but only for honor, another replied. Word spread quickly, faster than the human could imagine. By the time they reached the center of the market, the story had already become legend. Did you hear? The human fought the gang for an old one's memory capsule. Yes, they say the human won against 5 of them, and returned the treasure. Whispers turned to stories. Stories turned to awe, but not all ears heard with admiration. In the shadows of the station, the gang licked its wounds. The leader, his jaw still aching from the human's strike, growled with rage. No human makes fools of us, he hissed. They may have won today, but tomorrow, they will pay. The gang began to plan revenge, sharper, darker, deadlier than before. Back in the small home of the old alien, the human sat quietly. The room was filled with strange ornaments, pieces of a life long gone. The alien placed the capsule on a table, its glow softening the darkness. Would you like to see? The alien asked, voice gentle. The human nodded, curiosity burning bright. The alien touched the capsule and light filled the room. Images appeared in the air, cities of crystal towers, skies filled with silver birds, children dancing under twin suns. Music echoed, haunting and beautiful. A song of joy and sorrow mixed together. The human's heart tightened. The beauty was almost too much to bear. This, all of this, lives inside the capsule, the alien said softly. And now, because of you, it still lives. The human watched the memories flow like rivers of light. They thought of their own world, their own people, their own stories. How fragile history was, how easily it could vanish. And they knew deep inside that this act of courage was bigger than themselves. It was about the galaxy, about what it meant to be alive, about what it meant to be human. The alien placed a trembling hand on the human's arm. You are different, it said, voice thick with emotion. In a galaxy that turns away from the weak, you chose to stand, you chose to fight. You chose to care. The human only nodded, not knowing what to say, but in that silence, something powerful was born, a bond, a promise, and a story that would not stop here. The market outside still buzzed, the whispers still spread. The gang still plotted in darkness. But in the small glow of that room, hope burned bright, and the galaxy had just begun to notice. The next morning, the station felt different, shops opened. Travelers filled the streets and ships came and went from the docking bays. But beneath the usual noise, whispers moved like an invisible current. Everywhere the human walked, eyes followed, voices lowered, and stories spread. The market fight had become the talk of the station. Some told the story with awe. The human fought the gang and won. Others told it with disbelief. It cannot be true. No human could stand against them. But the old alien's trembling smile and the glow of the memory capsule gave truth to every word. Soon, from the smallest vendors to the largest council halls, the tale had reached every ear. The human, however, did not seek fame. They simply walked with the old alien, making sure they were safe. Yet each step added fuel to the fire of gossip. Children pointed, whispering, "That's the one." Merchants bowed their heads in silent respect, and even guards, who usually ignored humans, watched with thoughtful eyes. But not all respect was kind. Many feared what the story meant. Humans are reckless, one alien muttered. They do not fear death. They invite it. Such boldness will bring only more violence, another warned. Still, the idea had already rooted itself. Humans were different, dangerous and perhaps even noble. In the shadows of the underworld, the gang seethed with rage. Their leader's face was still swollen from the human strike. He slammed his fist against the table. Our power is slipping, the market laughs at us. All because of that human, his followers muttered angrily. The human made us weak. The leader's eyes burned with hate. Then we will make an example of them. The galaxy will forget this foolish bravery once they see the human broken. Plans of revenge spread like poison. Meanwhile, the old alien invited the human once more into their small home. The memory capsule sat on the table, glowing softly as always. I cannot thank you enough, the alien said, voice soft but firm. The human shook their head. I only did what was right. But the alien leaned forward, eyes wet with tears. No, you did more. You reminded us that courage still exists in this cold galaxy. Word of the capsule itself soon spread too. Rumors flew. It holds treasures, it holds secrets, it holds weapons, but the truth was stranger than treasure. It held a people's soul, and more aliens began to understand the weight of what the human had saved. Respect grew, not just for the alien, but for the human who had risked everything for them. In the council chambers, the whispers reached the leaders. They gathered, their robes shining with symbols of authority. One elder tapped the table. A human has interfered with the gangs. This could disturb our fragile balance. Another elder shook her head. Or perhaps it has restored something greater. Justice. The room fell into debate, some fearing the human's actions, others admiring them. One thing was clear. No one could ignore what had happened. Back in the market, the human felt the change more clearly. Where once there was indifference, now there was silence and respect. When they passed, aliens stepped aside, some in fear, some in admiration. The human felt the weight of all eyes. But inside they stayed humble. They had not acted for glory. They had acted because someone needed help. And yet the galaxy insisted on making it a legend. Children began to play games, pretending to be the human. One child shouted, I am the human, give back the bag, swinging a wooden stick. Another laughed and fell, pretending to be the defeated thief. Even in play, the story carried, planting seeds of bravery in young hearts. But in dark alleys and smoky bars, the gang hunted for allies. They whispered to smugglers, bribed corrupt guards, and promised revenge. The human humiliated us, they growled. Help us, and we will share our spoils. Some agreed out of fear. Some out of greed. The human had won one battle. But the war of pride had only begun. Late at night, the human stood at the viewing deck of the station, staring out into the endless stars. The silence was vast, the galaxy infinite. They thought about Earth, their home far away. Humans had always been outsiders among the stars, not the strongest, not the richest, not the oldest race, but in this moment the human realized something. What made their kind different was not power or wealth. It was the stubborn will to act, to stand when others turned away, to fight when others surrendered, to protect even strangers. The old alien stood beside them, holding the memory capsule close. You have changed everything, the alien whispered. The humans shook their heads slowly. No, I only reminded them of what they had forgotten. The alien looked at them with deep respect. Perhaps, but sometimes a reminder can move mountains, or even galaxies. The stars burned quietly outside the station windows. The market still buzzed, the council still debated, and the gang still plotted in fury. But everywhere, in every corner, the story spread. One human had faced the darkness and returned the light, and the galaxy would never see humans the same way again. The station slept under the silent glow of its metal lights, but not all within its walls rested. In the deepest alleys where shadows hid crimes, the gang gathered with fury burning in their eyes. Their leader, his jaw still swollen from the human strike, stood tall, his voice sharp with rage. The market laughs at us, he growled. The council whispers and our power slips away, all because of one human. Around him, thieves slammed their fists against the table, their anger rising like a storm. They had ruled the market with fear for years. No one had dared to challenge them until now. The leader's claws tapped the table as he spoke. Tonight we strike back. Tonight the human learns what it means to defy us. He pointed to his followers. Find allies, buy weapons, bribe the weak guards. Let the whole station know. Anyone who helps the human is our enemy. A wave of cruel cheers filled the room, their plan born in darkness. Meanwhile, the human walked through the quieter streets of the station, unaware of the danger building. They had spent the day with the old alien guarding them, listening to stories of the lost homeworld. The human felt the weight of the memory capsule too. It was more than just a device, it was a symbol of survival. And the human knew the gang would not forget what had happened. As night fell, the trap was set. The human turned a corner and found the street strangely empty. Shadows moved along the rooftops. Whispers echoed through the air. The human's instincts sharpened. Their steps slowed. Then the ambush came. Figures leapt from the darkness. Chains rattling, blades glowing, eyes burning with hatred. The gang had doubled their numbers. Surrounding the human in a tight circle, the leader stepped forward, his voice dripping with venom. "Welcome, human. Did you think you could humiliate us and live?" The human's jaw tightened, but their eyes stayed steady. "I did not fight for pride," the human said calmly. "I fought for what was right." Laughter exploded from the gang, cruel and mocking. "Right? There is no right, only power," the leader sneered, raising his claws. "Tonight you lose yours," with a signal. The attack began. The first thief rushed forward, swinging a chain. The human ducked low, grabbing the chain and yanking hard. The thief stumbled, crashing into two others. But another came from behind, blade slashing through the air. The human turned, blocking with their arm, pain slicing across their skin. Blood ran, but their spirit stayed unbroken. They fought with speed and determination. Fists striking, feet kicking, each move sharp and focused. Every time a thief lunged, the human twisted, using their strength against them, but there were too many. Chains wrapped around the human's arm. A blade cut across their side. Boots struck their ribs. The human fell to one knee, gasping. The gang closing in like wolves from the shadows. Voices of bystanders whispered in fear. "Is that the human? They cannot win this time. Too many. Too strong." But still no one stepped forward. The human stood alone, surrounded and bleeding. The leader raised his claws for the final strike, his eyes shining with triumph. "This ends here," he growled. But the human's voice cut through the night, strong despite the pain. "No, this is only the beginning." With sudden force, the human ripped free of the chains, slamming a thief to the ground. They grabbed a fallen blade, spinning with desperate strength. The edge flashed in the light. Driving back the attackers, the fight roared on. Metal clashing, blood dripping, shouts echoing through the alley. The human moved like fire, refusing to fall. For every strike they took, they gave one back. For every wound, they fought harder. Their body was weak, but their will was unbreakable. The leader charged again, claws slashing. The human ducked, spinning low. Striking his leg, the leader howled, stumbling. His pride cut deeper than his flesh. The gang hesitated, fear creeping into their eyes. How could one wounded human still stand against them? Finally, the human raised the blade high, blood dripping down their arm. "This fight is not about me," they shouted, voice echoing across the rooftops. "It is about every weak voice you have silenced, every soul you have crushed, every life you have stolen." The words carried like thunder, reaching even those watching from the shadows. Aliens hiding in fear felt their hearts stir. The human was not just fighting, they were speaking for all. The gang pulled back, dragging their wounded leader. The fight was not won by strength, but by spirit. The humans staggered, breathing heavy, their body broken but their fire still burning. The gang fled into the darkness, their pride shattered a second time, and this time the whole station had seen it. From the rooftops and doorways, whispers began again. "The human still stands. They bleed, but they do not bow." The story grew stronger, spreading faster than ever. Hope began to bloom in places where only fear had lived before. The human leaned against the wall, wiping blood from their face. Their body hurt, but their eyes burned with the same light as the capsule they had saved. The battle was over, but the war of honor had only begun, and the galaxy was watching. The battle in the alley did not stay hidden for long. By dawn, the whole station buzzed with the story. A single human, bleeding but unbroken, had faced the gang a second time and forced them to retreat. For some, it was a tale of courage. For others, it was a tale of chaos, and soon, the whispers reached the ears of the station council. The council chamber was vast, with tall pillars of stone and light that reached up into the ceiling. Representatives of many species filled the curved seats, their robes marked with symbols of authority. At the center stood a raised platform, where those accused or honored faced judgment. That morning it was the human who was summoned there. The old alien, clutching the memory capsule, stood at their side, trembling but proud. A voice echoed through the chamber, deep and commanding. "Human traveler, you stand before this council to answer for your actions." The human lifted their head, meeting the many alien eyes upon them. "I acted to protect the weak," the human said firmly. "I do not regret it." But the council was divided. One elder with golden skin leaned forward. "Your actions disturbed the balance. You have angered the gangs, and now blood runs in our streets." Another shook their head, yet no one else dared to stand against them. The human brought justice where we turned away. Murmurs filled the hall, some voices sharp with anger, others soft with admiration. Then the gang appeared, limping but still full of venom. Their leader stood tall despite his wounds, a mocking smile on his face. "Great council," he began, bowing falsely. "This human is no hero. They are a troublemaker. They started fights, they spilled blood, they disturbed peace." His followers nodded, spitting lies with sharp tongues. "They attacked us without reason," one hissed. "They seek glory, not justice," another added. The human clenched their fists but stayed silent. The old alien stepped forward, raising the capsule with trembling hands. "Lies!" the alien cried, voice echoing through the hall. "It was they who pushed me down, who stole my people's soul. It was the human who returned it, risking life for a stranger." Gasps moved through the crowd, the glowing capsule shining like a beacon in the chamber. The leader snarled, "That bag was worthless junk. Why would we want it?" The old alien touched the capsule, and light filled the room, images of lost cities. Children laughing under twin suns and music of a vanished world floated into the air. The council fell silent, watching the truth with their own eyes. The human's voice followed, calm and strong. "This is what they tried to steal. Not gold, not power, but history, memory, and hope." The gang shifted uncomfortably, their lies melting under the weight of proof. But still, some council members frowned. "Even so," one argued, "a single human cannot take justice into their own hands. What if others begin to follow this reckless example?" The human turned, looking at every seat, every face. "If protecting the weak is a crime," they said clearly, "then I am guilty." The words struck like thunder. Some elders leaned back, shocked at the boldness. Others felt their hearts stir with respect. The old alien placed a hand on the human's arm, whispering, "You spoke the truth." A long silence followed, the chamber heavy with decision. Then the head counselor rose, tall and solemn. "We cannot punish bravery," he declared. "We cannot call justice a crime." He pointed to the gang. "But we can punish those who prey on the helpless, and who seek to twist truth with lies." Guards moved forward, seizing the thieves, their leader shouting curses as they were dragged away. The hall erupted in voices, some cheering, some protesting. But the decision was clear, the human was free. More than free, they were praised, the council announced. "Let it be known that this human showed honor where others showed fear. May their act be remembered." The old alien wept. Holding the capsule close, the human stood silently. Not proud, not boastful, only steady. They had not fought for titles or fame, but now the galaxy watched them differently. For in that chamber, one truth became clear. Humans were not just wanderers among the stars. They were protectors, and that truth could not be forgotten. Outside the council, crowds gathered, waiting for the verdict when the humans stepped out, the old alien at their side. Voices rose like a wave. "Hero," some whispered. "Reckless," others muttered, but all eyes were drawn to them. The human had become a symbol, a question, a spark above the station. The stars glowed in silence, the gang's power was broken. The council's respect was won, but the human knew the story was not ending. It was only growing larger, spreading further, reaching beyond this station, for the galaxy itself had begun to listen, and what it heard was a human's voice standing firm against the dark. The council's decision echoed far beyond the chamber walls. Word of the trial spread through the station like fire racing through dry grass. One human had stood against lies. One human had spoken with courage. And one human had been declared innocent. Not only innocent, honored. And in a galaxy where power often crushed the weak, such a story could not be contained in the markets. Merchants repeated the tale to travelers. In the face of a gang, the human did not run, one said proudly. Even when bleeding, they stood tall, and even when accused. They told only the truth, added another. Children played in the streets, wooden sticks in their hands. pretending to be the human with unshakable bravery. Every retelling made the story bigger, stronger, more alive. The old alien walked beside the human wherever they went, the memory capsule glowing softly in their arms. Aliens bowed to the elder, not for age alone, but for carrying a history now saved, and they looked at the human with eyes of respect. Some whispered the word protector, others called them reckless, but all agreed the human was different. From the station's docks, ships carried the tale across the stars. Pilots told it in taverns. Smugglers whispered it in shadowed bars. Traders repeated it at distant outposts. At first it was just a rumor, a strange little story of a human's stubborn courage, but rumors grew into legends, and legends had a way of shaping worlds on one planet. A young worker heard the story and dared to speak against his cruel overseer. On another, a child stood up to bullies, whispering, "I am like the human," hope spread. Not through power, not through weapons, but through example. The idea that even one small voice could challenge darkness. The human themselves did not chase glory. They still walked the same streets, still guarded the old alien, still lived simply. But wherever they went, crowds gathered. Some asked for protection, others for guidance. And though the human was only one person, their presence carried the weight of something greater. The council, too, felt the change. Some feared the influence, whispering, "What if humans rise too far?" Others welcomed it, saying, "Perhaps this is what our galaxy needs." Debates grew in chambers and halls, but no debate could stop the truth. The galaxy had seen what one human could do. The broken gang, stripped of power, cursed from the shadows, they swore revenge, their pride burning hotter than ever. Yet even they felt the shift, their name once feared, now mocked. Their cruelty once untouchable, now shattered by one act of defiance. One evening, the old alien invited the human into their small home again. The capsule rested on the table, glowing brighter than before. "I wish to give you something," the alien said softly. From within the capsule, they removed a shard of crystal, glowing faintly with light. "This piece is for you, a part of my people's memory, a part of our soul." The human stared, humbled. "I cannot take this," they whispered. But the alien shook their head, tears shining in their eyes. "You already carry it in your heart. This is only a reflection." The human accepted it slowly, feeling the warmth of history and life within their hands. Outside, the station thrummed with energy. The legend of the human no longer belonged to whispers. It belonged to the stars, every corner, every port. Every ship carried it further, and soon, even distant councils heard it. A single human, unknown and ordinary, had done what armies had not. They had reminded the galaxy of honor. In the end, the human stood on the station's viewing deck once more. The old alien beside them, the shard glowing faintly at their chest. The stars stretched wide, endless, eternal. The human's reflection glimmered against the glass, not as a warrior, not as a ruler, but as a protector and far beyond unseen. Countless others whispered their name. The galaxy remembered. It remembered not because the human was the strongest, not because they were the richest, but because they chose to act when no one else would, because they stood when all others turned away, because they reminded the stars themselves that even in the darkest alleys, light could still rise. One act of courage had echoed across worlds. One human had shocked the galaxy, and the story was only beginning.